Cassie over here at Next Level Guitar. How you doing? Today we are being inspired, but we're going to take a different turn with these Inspired By lessons. And we're going to talk about songwriting and composition. All of us at home, we learn all these great songs from so many of these people, and we want to take that information and have it become our own so we can turn around and write songs with it. And that's what we want to talk about today. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow 4 simple guidelines, and we're going to cover a blues rock style. So let's go ahead and get started. Grab your guitar and let's have some fun. The first thing that I want to talk about is tone. We're going to talk about the tones that we need to use today. We definitely want to think about structure and our beat that we're going to play along to, as well as chord harmony. And we're going to be really simple about this. And I must say, if there's anything that you don't understand, that as I'm talking about this stuff in the video, go to the website. We have so many great instructors here explaining all the theory and the scales and the chords that you need to know. What we're doing today is in the key of G. And in the key of G, we're going to use a basic major scale to identify our notes, and then we're going to talk about what chords are created when we play those notes. The G major scale I like to play looks like this. I'll continue on. It's a 2-octave scale, just a little bit over 2. We're going to now talk about the chord harmony portion of this, and then we're going to break into the song that I was playing over and what I did to kind of capture that feel and what my thought process was when I wrote it. And hopefully that'll shed some light for you to do the same. In the key of G, there's a certain rule. We're harmonizing the major scale. That's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to play a chord for every one of these first 8 notes. And this will be cool because it'll help you practice also naming your notes. So the very first note is obviously going to be a G major, right? So we're going to outline the chords. 1 is always major. 2 is always minor. 3 is always minor. 4 is major. 5 is major. 6 is minor, relative minor, big dude. We'll talk about how to simply use that later. And then our last one is diminished. Look at one of those crazy diminished chords. In theory, we can mix any of these together and we're going to be able to write a song. I can go from a G to an E minor. I could go to that B minor. They're all family members that live together. So with this way of thinking, we're going to be able to write a little bit easier by understanding chord harmony. And that's very simple. Tone. That's the other thing we want to think about. Now in a blues rock setting, a lot of times you kind of have, a little bit of a distorted sound, kind of a clean sound, but either way it's going to work to serve a strong purpose. I like to set mine so it's very, barely distorted I should say, and then I turn the guitar down and it cleans up. That's the way that I like to set that. So if I get after it, I've got that. If I back it down just a little bit, it's a little bit cleaner. So that's the tone that I'm going to use to go through this. Now, when it comes to structure, we're going to talk about making sure that we're really concise. We develop various parts that can go together. And we've heard people talk about this: verse, chorus, pre-chorus, bridge, whatever that is. We'll address all those things as we go through, and we'll give you some examples to talk about with that as well. With the beat, we have a simple drum beat that we can use, and from there, it's going to help us come up with some ideas. When coming up with a chord progression, sometimes it's really easy just to start with that first chord. Look at this chord. This is a G major chord, believe it or not, but I've added some notes to it. And what I've actually done is I've used the guidelines of my G major scale to create this structure, this 9 chord here. Now what I'm saying by that is I can embellish chords really easily by following the use of the major scale. I kind of add as an extension to the note. And in my mind, these are all family members that live together. I can mix them in any way that I like. So the top of the video, the song and the riff. Now, when I go to that chord there, it's a pretty nice, spooky sounding chord. Look at that chord. We'll go ahead and explain that a little bit. I have an E flat or a D sharp note. And then I've got this A. Adds a nice change to the scale and my progression. So by doing this, I've set myself up with what I call a nice intro. This is just a simple way for me to get started and establish a little bit of melody. And all I'm doing is going between my 1 chord and a nice variation of my 6th chord. Chord harmony will allow me, just by understanding the basics of it, and really saying if I know a major scale and I can name my notes, and I remember that 1, 4, 5 is major and 2, 3, and 6 are minor, referring to those notes, I can come up with any arrangement of chords and they're going to work. We want to talk about how we can embellish these chords and make them feel a little bit bluesy. So let's go ahead and talk about that for a minute. If I'm playing, very easy, a minor chord. All the ways that we can embellish this minor chord, let's go up here and talk about that. Like I said, we can omit fingers, make that a minor 7. Adding this note out here on the piano. Now, oftentimes, if I'm playing these, here's the element of beat. I'm going to think off of a minor chord. A lot of times, I can do hammers into the chord. And I'm thinking of this kind of a feel, and I'm a big fan, if you've seen any of my videos before, really trying to make the guitar have rhythm and time, and thinking in this sense I'm going to kick like kick and snare, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I'm not even using a pick. I'm going to turn like this way really quick just so you can see my approach here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.